I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Holy cow. Right? There is going to be a whole separate video dedicated to why put out new games when you can redo or re-expand or just retheme or deluxify old ones. You don't need new ones, right? And that's a whole nother topic and conversation. New crowdfunding roundup, though, this week. You know it's going to be spicy if the video starts off with this. We have some Ark Nova. We've got a little bit of Hanami. We've got some Blood Rage smacked into the middle of that sandwich. And we got to talk about the games. Let's freaking go. It's Ark freaking Nova 3D edition. Whew, okay, I gotta contain the snarkiness here because, I mean, this is a 3D expansification, blingification of your Ark Nova. I mean, look how beautiful / ugly that thing is at the same time. But when you raise over $1 million in less than 24 hours, clearly people are enamored with this. But I just can't help but feeling this is exactly the problem with the over-deluxified. I'm exaggerating for the purpose of this video, but I mean, that just doesn't scream enticing to me in that regard. It just doesn't. It's losing the beauty of the simplicity for me. I understand if you want the acrylic tiles. Those are kind of nice, right? Those are usuals. The double-sided enclosures. And I even understand if you want to get a little bit of the deluxe player boards. That makes sense. Don't worry, you get one promo. Is that really the gameplay content that they were talking about prior to the campaign? Both I'm pleased and irked if you're going to say that there is this allusion to new gameplay content and it's one promo. Oh, good. They have the metal coins. And you want Ark Nova based, I guess, sleeves. So the best possible table presence. Truth be told, I think this thing would look incredibly ugly on the table. I think it would lose the actual telling what's going on the gameplay for me personally. But don't worry, you can spend upwards of $300 to get everything. And 3,000 people are doing that, which is to me, as a layperson on the side, absolutely mother effing insane. I'll say that. However, if you have the superfluous cash and this is your most played game, do you, I guess, right? So they are meeting in end stage capitalistic need on the hobby scene of things. Okay, you can get a playmat too. This is how they could look if you painted those brown gray things, which you won't. It won't look anything like that, so don't worry about it, right? Passion project, no guarantee for a print run, no stretch goals, but maybe a little extra stuff to go along with it, so we'll see. But here's some big videos from all the biggest people, and like I said, I wasn't joking or being sarcastic with that earlier comment. 7 installments. I hate that feature on GameFound. That is such making people feel like they can spend outside their means. Anyway, that's Ark Nova, and you can spend that much on it. And if that's your purchase of the year, go for it, and let me know down below. Okay, here is Blood Rage. Tycoon Games, $600,000. Now, if you had said to me, in the same amount of time that Ark Nova is getting almost $1.5 million, that Blood Rage, right? Arguably the most notable, arguably the most well-received of the Eric Lang area control majority style trilogy from CMON. Did I say trilogy twice there? We'll leave it in because that's my channel and I'm an idiot. We are getting more Blood Rage? Blood Rage Valhalla! Eric Lang, series creator, returns to Rage again in the standalone sequel. Okay. Repackaged and remastered. And that's the biggest complaint that I've heard so far, is the people that have some of the previous stuff, that want some of the new stuff, or want some of the stuff they missed out, the repackaging is not in their favor. This is a draft and pass, area control, play your cards as actions style. A first printing exclusive new monster. That is kind of cool. Now, you have a lot of people clamoring for the previous monster exclusives. So are they all broken and making the game, well, power scale all over the place. Yeah. Do you need them? Absolutely not one bit whatsoever. You got your clans. You got your other monsters. And now you have modules including a rainbow bridge god tiles. It reminds me more of Yggdrasil, if you will. And this is the other thing that we don't know. Road to Helheim. What is this? What is this getting us? New monsters, new monsters, new monsters. Divine Devastation upgrade. So again, more stuff that you may be familiar with in terms of upgrading that way. Here is the payoff, the payload, the money shot, phrasing, early draft rulebook. New cards, new decks, new combinations of gods to give you new strategies in a somewhat potentially modular system like they alluded to right here on the main page with these tiles and these leader cards. This draft board looks a little bit strange. I like the comparison that I saw in the comment section talking about it as Clue-esque, right? It looks like it was Thor in the antechamber with the Mjolnir. Eric Lang coming back to give us more. That's the concept. No teleporting as well from areas to give you just a spicy little take on some of the changes from a rule play standpoint. However, not your cylindrical setup as you can see here on the clue board, but you can adjacently go to where the battles are perhaps occurring. It looks like potentially that the scaling between eras is also going to be upgraded in terms of the cards you're going to be able to keep over, the scaling of said cards, and potentially, if I'm reading this correctly, a little more variety in cards, offering more combos, less repeats, and completely different strategies. Big if. And it also appears that some of the model restrictions in terms of area, of how many and things like that, are done away with, in addition to the revamping of how you're paying for the monsters and only having to pay for them once. Then you also, like I mentioned, have these gods in the ages where you're going to be potentially winning contests in the location, and instead of gaining the bonus of the room, chamber that they say, come on, chamber? Like you're calling it, is this the Chamber of Norse Secrets? Harry Potter reference right there. But really? Really? I don't think of Valhalla. I don't think of anything in the Nine Realms in that way as chambers. Okay, but I guess you're playing in Valhalla, which is like the end, maybe building in Valhalla, and then you're... Anyway, I don't know. Okay, so you get the ability of the god tile instead of the bonus of the actual chamber itself. And here's the other thing, right, that I mentioned. Monsters cost 0 rage. Figures may not be summoned directly into the throne room or a chamber that contains a god or a chamber token, but you summon them over there. And then you gain control of them. They cost 0, like I mentioned, but you still got to have the 1 on the rage track like in the original in order to summon them in the first place. Which is different because, as it says up here, the previous rage cost was determined by their strength, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that change. As far as we can tell as well, with some of these rules, you had Ragnarok happen where you have the areas go out of play in terms of not being available. And just based off of the rule book that's there right now, that does not appear to be a thing. $85 for the base game, that's actually not a bad price. I'm not sure if it's one of those where you get it now, though, either. So here's some of the old stuff if you want to piecemeal it potentially. Each title repackaged into 3 convenient boxes, as I mentioned, including the original exclusives, which begs the question. If they can rebox the exclusives, why the effing deuce couldn't Simon, right? Oh, they're exclusive. We don't do another print run. Here you go. Must have not been that hard after all. So I can't see this going for $125 at retail, but I can't see it going much less than this if it's offering a whole lot of hella extra. Same thing with the expansion. Can you imagine a $90 expansion at retail? This is absolutely over the top pricing for, a retail price. Upgrades, second edition, end times, that's one of the repackaged ones, spoils, repackaged ones, and that's where a lot of the complaints are, is that they redid some of the repackaging on these and they clearly renamed them too. You're going to have to go into the individual comments here, because if you look as I'm tracing over this, you can click on it and see what it entails. So here, when we click on Ankh, the second edition Eternal expansion box, it tells you this was the Pantheon, the Pharaoh, the Guardians, and the Tomb of Wonders. So, that's the question. If we sat down and priced all of these out, would this be more or less or somewhere in between? And the only thing I would be concerned about as well is if you're getting this stuff, I'm assuming this is going to match, and you're just putting a new frame and aesthetic around it. Why did you get me back up to the top of the page? That's weird. Just move me to the reward level pages. Anyway, silly game found. Don't do that. That's ridiculous. So what else we got here? Okay, we got the... Holy cow. All of the boxes for Valhalla and the original Blood Rage there. That's $400, and you want to pay $900 for all of it. Again, I don't think that's horrible compared to paying some of the secondary costs on the secondary market, but Tiny Epic Vikings. Which one of these is not like the other? Why is that on here? Oh, no, just kidding. I remember now. These guys bought the Tiny Epic series. That's right. I completely forgot about that. So, again, I would love to play this game because I didn't like the stale meta that I kind of got into with original Blood Rage. And so I would really like this as well in terms of what it's offering. But if it's going to cost me $105 for the retail version right now, that's a lot of money to say if you're not sure on if this is going to be better or not for you, or if you already have the original Blood Rage. That's a hefty, hefty price to pay, even without getting any expansion, so give it a look. Although I'm on the fence with the new Blood Rage, although Tabletop Tycoon call me, I would still love to review it at some point. Hanami, Samurai Reimagined. I have one of the original versions of Samurai. I don't think I have the one that people clamor for. I think I have the slightly lesser version, but Hanami as a reimagined, now not only giving you Nippon in the original map, but also giving us a Tokyo map with a little bit of special powers to go along with it. So when Blood Rage is I will probably have it at some point, Samurai Hanami Remix here is one that I will own at some point. There is not a question. It's just a question of, will it be off of the crowdfunding from Keymaster, or will it be later? So bento box, picnic blanket, and treetops. Sakura blossoms going full. And you get a mini expansion, and really, bento bags are $14. Don't go all Floodgate and Sagrada Artisans on me, telling me that those somehow are going to cost $14 like the price of colored pencils. I'm sorry, I know what little bags like that go for, and it's not $14. I do like the little meeples, though. That's kind of cool. The big question, though, the biggest question with this one, in the same aspect, in the same line of thinking of Blood Rage Valhalla, though, is when you start mixing this cauldron of board game ingredients, mechanistics, and everything else, are you improving a masterpiece? Can you, I guess, improve a masterpiece, right? That's what the big question is with the upcoming release upon delivery and fulfillment of 25th Century Games expansion to Ra, right? When you put out an expansion to one of, ultimately speaking, the best games of all time, especially within that mechanistic genre, that you have to at least ask the question, right? This is not like a Quo Vadis becoming Zoo Vadis, where Quo Vadis was kind of this middling meh, and people were like, I have some serious criticisms, and then like Zoo Vadis was like, boom, shakalaka. This is Samurai. This is Samurai, right? This is already well thought of in the tile placement style of things, let alone in the Nizia collection of that as well. So can you add a quirky, and still keep the nature of the game in the first place? You are making it prettier and cuter, but this is a cutthroat placement game. And you don't need to hear me expound the virtues of it when you've got everyone that's better than me talking about that, saying the same thing as well. I like the idea of a second map, but I also worry, is this a Huang, right? Yellow and Yangtze Huang situation, where is the production going to be that much better? I actually much prefer Yellow and Yangtze, the wooden tiles, but I desperately wish for a second board. And so that's where with this, man, new actions on tiles, different strategies. That's where I have to go, man, I am tempted. I am tempted. And the $40 gets me wooden pieces as well there. So I'm assuming, well, there's the special ability cards that I mentioned. Two-sided game board. I'm assuming that these are maybe cardboard here, these tiles, and these are the wooden ones. So are you upgrading all of them in the deluxe edition? Is that one of the main difference? Yup, look at that. It's almost like I could just figure that out. 20% larger game board. That's a boon and a curse at the same time, right? Because I need it to fit on the table with all of the player stuff as well. I mean, this should... Oh, that's... okay. And upgraded to wood. And I don't know if the organizer is going to be that much better. So gameplay is exactly the same. So then I guess you have to ask yourself, if you're really not going to deluxify this, because there's nothing there that I'm like super needing, is it going to be less than $40 with the free mini expansion? I'd say probably not at retail for both of those separately combined. But if I'm having to then add $11 in the shipping and then $51, then it's where you get to a push sort of situation, if you're at least in North America like I am. If you're in Europe, oh man, maybe you're better off for localization, because that shipping cost, especially even for the retail version, is going to put it at $70 right there. So Keymaster, I like what I see. I'm going to own it, but I'm not necessarily yet sold that it's going to be a crowdfunding back. So give them a look. Assassin's Creed Animus, the board game. Now, truth be told, when I heard this was announced, I actually thought this was another of the previous Assassin's Creed lines, but no, this is something completely different. Not only is it something completely different, separate from those lines, it's mechanistically, wow, completely out there. And so what you're doing with Animus here is you are taking one of the assassins based on an era that you get to choose, and you're actually competing against each other. This is a competitive, card-driven, flipping style game. And you have to like basically have these skill checks that you need as you're going along. And you move your little tracker, which I guess actually is miniature driven, which completely unnecessary there, but what you're getting here is the moving of the places along the bottom of your tracker. And then you reach the end of it and you draw an Animus token. You kind of go back to the beginning. And these places may have events on them. They may be combo situations, or there may be things that you can do. It's a little bit opaque in terms of these mechanics, even reading the rule book. But I'd say you go check it out and you tell me what you think in that way. The tricky part is you're going to have equipment. You're going to have also the ability, as people are doing these events, though, to basically play a card on them to make their skill checks harder. Just randomly, like, take that BS. And so I didn't really see through my once read of the rulebook if there's a limitation to how many other people can play on your skill check. But when they do, you also get to draw like an assassin card from your individual deck. And everybody plays, I believe, through the same sort of path, same era, if you will. And in case you missed that, let me show you all of what's available here, right? Assassin's Creed, Creed 2, Brotherhood, Creed 3, Valhalla, got a little exclusive miniature there, Black Flag, Shadows, Origins, Odyssey, Unity, Syndicate. Whew, that is a lot of stuff from that aspect. A little bit of the stretch goal-ish stuff as well, but like I said, choose your era, gather your equipment, get your asymmetric power, hunt a target, and they're based on cards that you can kind of see and that kind of tell you the difficulty, but then you have to flip them over and try and assassinate them. And the game actually goes until someone, unless you're playing at the 2-player count, assassinates 4 of their targets, or you run out of some of those Animus tokens that I mentioned. But like I said, you're playing these special cards to help combo, but you're also playing them on other people to screw them over. So the only thing that's on here is paid content. Take that for what you will. Paid playthrough and a paid preview. So this reminds me of Witcher Path of Destiny in the sense that I think it could be something fine, but it's a lot of card flipping and just movement along a predetermined path. So not fully predetermined, but things are going to be popping up, events and stuff like I mentioned, but give it a look. Not what I was expecting originally. Satchel Quest. This one is easily my sleeper of the week. This one might be my sleeper of the month. It is an interesting twist on bag building. And if you have tastes like I do, I would say give this one a look. Tim's got something kind of nifty here with Weird City Games, but I'd make the argument that as a competitive sort of quest delving style of things, what is going to be the biggest difference is how much the in-between rounds are actually present, useful, and just I want it more in that sense. So let me tell you about the game first, though. What you're doing in Satchel Quest is you draw these same, I believe, different dungeons that start off with 3 different levels. And your creature, your hero, starts on the first level. You draw tokens one by one simultaneously around the table from your bag, playing them to one of the blank areas in the row that you are on. Once you fill that row, you move down to the next row. These tokens, however, are going to have specific effects, adjacency or non-adjacency in that way. If you go down further than your opponents before you want to press your luck, well, you can do that as well. But each chip has 2 sides that you are going to be potentially choosing from. And why I said at the beginning that this needs to be, the crux in between the rounds, because that is where you are buying things. And so it has sort of a Quacks vibe, if you will, but a Quacks with the, okay, I need to now choose where it goes, not just pulling it from the bag and hoping. There is both of those aspects here. And I like these double-sided chips. I just want to make sure we can get them all. And what you've got going on, if we skip down here, this is the market that I'm alluding to, where you're going to buy more chips, throw them in your bag, buy more abilities, get them as skills as you're going along. So what you've got, though, and let's go down to some of the gifts here if we can actually get to it here. Right? So you're drawing, descending, and maybe even delving, like I mentioned. Certain things are going to do different in different locations. Potions just give you health in general. You're trying to get down to the bottom of your dungeon before losing all of your health. And if you lose all of your health, you actually just lose victory points at the end, but you can never regain health. Treasure chests are going to be next to potential spots where you can play these chips, but you can only, and this is important, only play the number of chips that are requisite. If you play more, you're actually going to either take damage and get the treasure or just lose the treasure altogether. You're going to have attack and defense tokens based on the monsters that you're going to be dealing with, both with their health and their defense. But again, this is one of those games like Spirit Island in the sense that they attack you no matter what, so you better be able to defend. Swords are adjacency. Bows and arrows do diagonals. So things like that are kind of cool. Obstacles get in your way of some of those abilities, though, at the same time. Level up your character, get more skill tree advancement, rest, path cards, and buy new chips, right? These last 3 elements right here are going to be the biggest make it or break it for me about how good this game in the lines of a slightly upscaled Quacks is going to be. Rules are there, straightforward, favorite chips. Make sure there's enough asymmetry, though, at the same time. That's what I want to see. Oh man, dungeon monsters. So I heard some early comments over from the Gen Con people that were playing this, and I guess they had like the super basic version there. And so seeing all of the other stuff that could go along with this, right? Like I said, the shop, the additional asymmetry is going to be the, is this long-standing or is this play a half a dozen times and, well, maybe you don't want to play it anymore. I want to see what they can do, though. They got 4 weeks. 4 weeks! That's a long campaign to go. But that's Satchel Quest, and that's why I'm interested by it. Prestige! 200% funded. Okay. Expert level Euro game. And at first, when I was reading the rulebook, I was like, 1, I don't get the mechanism of why this is so unique. And then I was like, well, this seems rather straightforward. And then I was like, ooh, this is not. And so it is doing something a little bit different here. And that is based off of these aren't your workers. These are your craftsmen, I believe, something along those lines. And so you are going to have 5 of these craftsmen. And there are 6 total possible actions at the bottom of the board correlating to the places on the board in in general elsewhere. And so when you place them there are going to be numbered slots like 1 through 3, 1 through 4, and you have to play in the highest numbered slot. And this is the first level of mechanisms that you're going to be having to deal with. At the end of the first round, and end of every subsequent round, because you play 4 seasons over 3 years, so 12 rounds total, the turn order is based off of this order that you see here in this picture. This is actually just going to be compressed, filling in all the empty spots, and then you just go from left to right again, determining who gets to play next. So it is a game where if your meeples are next to each other, you could have multiple turns in a row very early on to combo chain your Euro level strategy. And so that is the first element of things. But this game is really based on building a house of levels and getting master craftsmen in order to do so as you build up these levels, while still having to account for the size and scope of your building as well in the first place, as you also at the end of each of the years need to pay the piper, if you will. Bigger house, bigger sacrificial wood in order to heat it, because we're in the time of Rococo, baby, and that's what they had to do. Is it gonna be cheaper? Is it gonna be exclusive later on? Here is the prestige of these castles you're building, because you're going to be having to buy as well as sell the various resources as one of the 6 different actions. I almost said 5 because you can only choose 5 of 6 on a turn-by-turn basis, but one of those actions is potentially trying to get the lead in the rounds. Getting these instructors to build contracts, hire the craftsmen that you need at higher experience levels to do the higher level buildings of your castle in the first place. And you can see the upgrade things that you're going to have to do along the way, hiring workers, getting more difficult raw materials as the game goes on. I'm not sure it would be probably my depth of strategy. It's probably too much for me, frankly speaking. But I really like the worker sliding together down here at the bottom to determine the next round order, if you will. Here are all 6 of the actions that I mentioned, and then they just bling it out for you, and you can check out what they've got here going on. And there you go. Buy land, hire craftsmen, trade on the market, collect material, or place your building orders. Now, this is the other element, layer of mechanistic strategy or depth that you need to know, is that, like I said, these are not craftsmen that I was referring to going to those 6 actions. The workers are separate, and they go to these areas, and you only have so many, and some of them will come back to you, and some of them may be too tired depending on what task you set them for, so you may have to re-recruit them later on, playing into another layer of your overall strategy. That's what it looks like when it's, I said smished on the first outtake, smushed together. And that's what your castle looks like at the end of the game. So 4-player game, video, and rules. So different than I was expecting, probably too heavy for me, but probably just right for you guys. Wanted Wombats. Speaking of complexity, this is going the exact opposite. This is just flip over the top card and think and say whether or not you think it's a 1, 3, 5, or 10,000 card. If you predict right, then you press your luck and you can guess as many as you want. But if you miss one, you'll lose all of the ones that you've won. Whenever you want to stop, you can stop. It goes to the next person. You just need enough to win by getting a sum total of 15,000. That's it. That's literally the whole game. There's some paid content down here if you want, but that's the whole thing that you got. So barrel-aged games, give it a look. Ascension, 15th anniversary. I feel like we just saw like an anniversary edition. Like, I'm not that old that it was like the 10th anniversary edition, but Stoneblade is coming back to us with another Ascension big box with more promos, new collector's editions, and new never before seen set. Why don't you just say new set, right? Like, it's almost like it sounds as if this was hidden in the back corners storage of the facility, and they're like, oh, Indiana Jones'd it. We randomly found this complete set that was done. It's been hiding in the dark for a decade, and we're going to put it out now. Right? I don't know. It's monumental milestone. And I don't really have anything positive or negative to say, right? I think it's been upgraded in terms of the times with the sort of increased mechanistic approach complexity-wise. And it is one of the pioneers, right? Like, this and Dominion. I actually played this at one of my first game nights in my local group before we ever got into owning board game. I also ultimately, I did another Liegism there. Ultimately, I threw the two words together, ended up more favoring Legendary as well as Dominion. Although I could just never fully get into Dominion as a whole. So what are you getting here? 15th Anniversary Edition box. I actually like that art. Exclusive promos. You'll never use them. Promo pack. Ooh, you'll never use those. Ultimate Collection. Every center deck and 15th anniversary. So they've streamlined it. They've accumulated all of this stuff in there. And then, you know, a lot of cool stuff from a lot of cool people already telling you how good it is. So 4th edition, 15th anniversary collectors, and the most complete way to start. I'm sorry. If you're buying this as a place to start, trying to find out whether or not this game is for you, I mean, that is just marketing right there more than anything else. And I love it, but holy, that's not really, come on. I don't really know if the anniversary collection for $100 is a good deal. And every single promo plus 4 bonus starting hands. How many cards is that for $30 freaking dollars? Every promo card during the campaign. So this is like the stretch goal box. Okay. Whoa, balls. I did not see that earlier. December 2026. So you're going to be lucky if you get this in a year and a half. Why, with a card-based only game, are you coming to me a year and a half freaking early? Now, I know you're not a big company. At the same time, you know, I'm assuming that's art cost, but what the deuce, right? I like the art, but why the hell are you coming to me over a year and a half early with this sort of thing, especially when this is such a known quantity in the first place? Holy crap, even card protection sleeves, $75. $300 to sleeve all of this? Holy F-balls, Batman. Speaking of prices, oh, this is a great add-on at a discounted price. How can you, what? Oh, they're like custom Ascension, right? Okay. I mean, I guess, right? Just like Ark Nova. If you like it, you like it. And I have no clue when it comes to expansions like this. I've actually been looking at Shards of Infinity, that Saga collection, the previous Kickstarter, but I've never played it. So tell me down in the comment section below what you think. But look at this. Promo packs. So, okay. You're going to pay about a little under $1 a promo pack if we reveal all of these, because it's going to be this plus like the 4 starter things. So, you know, somewhere in the mid-40s. Okay. Right? This is another game, like, I would be happy to, like, review or trade for a copy of this, but that's a lot of money to spend on something that, you know, I don't have a lot of first-hand experience with before. So, most fan-requested edition. Okay, I wonder how much that's requested. And the center decks are kind of nice. More cards, mechanistic approach, and just streamlining it, not need to buy every big box associated with it. I'm looking at you, Aeon's End. You should do something like that. So, there you go. That's what they've got, and I'm not really surprised, I guess, that you've got this much money raised. So, good on you. That's it. That's the freaking roundup this week. Not many games. Well, when you don't have to do 2 weeks in one video, makes it a little bit easier, too. So, right, I put out the money video earlier in the week. Surprised, not surprised by how much or how little I actually make for all the work? I don't know. I just love talking about board games. But if you really want to support me, you know, you can. But you know what? It's cool either way. I just like talking about them. Like I said, you know, maybe I should do a reaction channel or something along those lines and see if I can hit it up that way. I don't know, right? I'm not good with video stuff in the first place. That's why my production is so crappy as well. So, and it'd look really weird if I did a whole nother channel and I had a whole bunch of board games sitting behind me. Like, no, I'm not talking about board games. I'm talking about, I don't know. That's it. Working all weekend. So it's going to be fantastic. And the kids start school on Monday, so that's a whole nother level of you know, stress. Not really anxiety for me, but like stress for the kids, and not really for 2 of the 3, but the one who's going to middle school, because it's a whole different building, it's a whole different routine, it's a whole different thing, and he's doing soccer too. And we just found out like soccer is like an hour and a half or 2 hours after school, Monday through Thursday, and like games 2 times a week, and holy cow. So, like, they are going from the get-go. I'm crazy surprised, though, that, like, 2 games a week in the 6th grade, like, in the first week of practice. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, I've got a bunch of review videos coming out. I've got a few things on the store for you in that way that's already filmed and that will be coming out in the very, very near future, maybe even one this weekend. And I just got a whole bunch of games that came in the mail, like 4 boxes in one day. My wife was like, I hate you. And I was like, okay. But 2 of them are big names that you may have known that are getting a lot of Gen Con, post-Gen Con hype. One, I got Battle of Hoth from Asmodee So I've got that one to talk about in the near future. Maybe by the end of the month, maybe not. I'm going to try to play through all the scenarios. So that's going to be the tough battle there. And then I got Capstone's Sunavelo, the 2-player, really intriguing style of things as well. So, and my wife really hates me because on the day I filmed this, well, Into the Unknown. Shout out to you guys. Holy F balls. That is the biggest board game box I have ever seen arrive at my house. Yeah, they sent me Kingdoms Forlorn. Oh, I had to have my 11-year-old help me pick it up to even bring it in the house. And I was like, maybe don't mention this to Mom. He didn't really get that clue. So he's like, Mom, this huge, absolutely massive box, I couldn't even lift it up by myself, came to the house today. I'm like, oh, geez. That's all I got. Stay classy. Peace out. See you around. Oh, Nemesis Games. I'm going to shoot you guys an email. Thanks for being patient. See you around.